Hey guys, welcome back. It's Brad here, and today I just did a new little painting of Titlow Beach here in Tacoma, Washington, not too far from where I live. And if you're interested in seeing how I did this, stick around because that's what this video is all about. So, all right, so I'm just going to show you guys the materials that I used to make this. I used this Canson watercolor block, and it's it's a 9x12. And it's a cold press paper, and it's I like it. I think it's a decent paper. It's maybe not the best, but I like it. And I used for the paint, we used these Van Gogh watercolor paints in this kind of nice set here. Again, it's a decent quality. I used some gouache in here in the painting, so I used the Winsor Newton gouache. You probably could get by with using the white in the set here, but I just like this is more opaque, so that's why I use that. But you could probably get by with that if you absolutely needed to. I used some salt, just table salt, and then I used basically just 3 brushes. I used a 2. These are Winsor Newton. A 2, a 6, and I used just a sumi brush, just a really inexpensive kind of bamboo sumi brush. All right, and that's what we used. And I used some painter's tape and an HB pencil for sketching things out. The tape is just to mask the edges off, so I have nice clean borders. All right, and now let's get started. All right, so I just basically just put down just a little bit of just water on there, just so when I kind of hit some of those areas, the colors will kind of blend together, just a touch. I didn't cover the whole thing with water. I wanted some hard edges in there as well, but I also wanted some of those colors just to kind of bleed and mix together on the paper. I'm using just a really kind of inexpensive large sumi brush there. It holds a lot of water, and just kind of was able to dump, those colors on there pretty quickly. And now I've gone in with that. I think that's the number 6 brush, and I'm just kind of playing around a little bit. I am using a photo reference of a photo I took a while ago when I was at Titlow Beach. And so the sky, it's loosely based off of that photo, so you can kind of see I'm actually trying to get it close to that photo. I don't know why. I could have done it any way I wanted to, but that's what I chose there. And now I'm just dropping in some of the water, and I'm just keeping it loose. This is the first kind of layer on there. I'm even going to go back up into the sky a little bit, and I'm going to go back over the water. But sometimes I let it dry a little bit, and then I can go back over and rework it, which you'll see here in a little bit. That's me just kind of even drawing and sketching things out with the paint, which I do. I did draw it out with graphite first, but and you can see that those piers and stuff that are in there, you can see that it was loosely sketched out beforehand, and then with the paint I kind of draw things back in after I've lost some of those things. So here I am just kind of playing around with the trees. Sometimes I need to make them higher, so that's why I kind of start low, and I was like, these need to come up a little bit. And here's the distant, this is on the peninsula there. And so I'm avoiding those piers that I sketched in, as you can see. And I know it's kind of uneven right now, but I'll kind of even those out as I go along. Right now, I am really drawing with it. The sketch was in there very loosely, but sometimes when I paint, I change things up a little bit too, so it's not exactly how my drawing was. All right, so I'm kind of going back in, just touching the tops of those, and you can see I'm kind of making it like a little rough, kind of just giving it some trees, like a little tree line in there, instead of it just being just totally like straight across. And as it goes further on in the distance, less pointy little trees, just smaller bumps. So, and I've gone back in, like I said, kind of dropping in some more darks in there. And right now I'm kind of painting around the bridge that I had sketched in. And you probably noticed I kind of tilted the land, and yeah, see, I'm trying to say, oh, I don't want that to tilt down that way. But I'll go back in here in just a moment and fix that with just a touch of white gouache. And part of it's going to be covered by that land in there too. All right, so now very wet. Now I'm just kind of doing wet on wet, sketching out I'm just kind of dropping in some of the beach. So very wet. Now I'm just kind of dropping in little bits of it, the wet on wet techniques in here. And that bottom part was a lot darker, and it's like greener. There was like a lot of seaweed up there. And so here comes the salt, and you can see what it does when you drop some salt on there. See, it just sucks it all up. Kind of a nice, fun way to create some rocks on a beach, right? So feel free to use that technique yourself. And I'm just dropping in some of those reflection of that hillside back over there. Okay, so yeah, and I'll just kind of darken it up. Sometimes I like to sketch things out a little lighter, because I can always make things darker just by charging it, dropping it in a little bit. It's a lot easier to make things darker. It's a little bit harder to make things lighter. So here I'm just kind of just dropping in some more work on the water. And with the water, I'm not saying that's expert on that, but it's just, you just want to kind of go more horizontal. You want to just kind of go, and people get in trouble when they start going, vertical and, horizontal lines and stuff in there. There I am that's with the gouache, just kind of touched up some of those little areas. And now I'm dropping in those old piers, those pilings, I should say. And so it's mostly some of that, what color was it? It's like a burnt sienna or whatever that we have with the Payne's Gray. A lot of Payne's Gray. I used a lot of Payne's Gray for this. So anywhere where it's dark, that's Payne's Gray. And I used, a little bit of the Viridian, the greens and stuff, and the just a touch of the ultramarine blue in this one. Not very much, but I used pretty much all the colors. I didn't use, I actually didn't use the reds very much. I might have used just a touch, just for mixing purposes. Here I am dropping in those trees just to kind of show you how I did those. And right now those are the rocks, kind of along the shore, so it's not just like a clean, crisp edge. Even though the water was very calm, the edge isn't like just. There's still some rocks and stuff that are in there, so just kind of rough up that edge just a little bit, so it's not just a straight line. Yeah, and so and water. Along the edge, the water's edge, things get darker. The water makes those rocks dark. So, pay attention to that. Just look at whatever it is that you're drawing, or painting. You have to just observe. Dropping in some of the larger rocks that are found on the beach, and they're pretty dark in shadow. I go back in and lighten them up. You can see I've got my brush kind of loaded with like a white with just a touch of some of those other grays and stuff that I've mixed up to kind of add some highlights and textures on those rocks. And then, you know, I just do some highlights in there, and then I spread it around, you know, add more little dots on there that, you know, represent rocks. And, you know, there's some more of the paint's gray, just kind of making some dark areas. And then kind of see they get a little bit lighter as they go further away with the atmospheric perspective. So sometimes I just let the water and the paint just kind of thin out just naturally, let it get drier, and it just gets lighter as it goes on, there's less of it in the brush. And sometimes I do that for the distance. You can see I'm just kind of making some more texture and some more of those the seaweed and stuff that's in there. There's a lot of the viridian there, and it's coming along. You know, I go back over at the end with just touches of gouache, just to kind of pull out some highlights here and there, which you'll probably see here in just a second. And just about done with this one. Yeah, there's the little touches of some gouache, just to pull out some highlights here and there. You know, and you don't want to just get sloppy. I mean, you don't have to overthink these rocks, but you don't want to just, like, you know, think about the direction of your brush strokes, you know, kind of, and, you know, smaller ones in the back, you know, a little slightly larger. You can get a little bit bigger, and as you get closer towards you in the foreground. Then, you know, some of that's just water in there that I'm doing, and it's just to kind of blend some of that beach as it gets further away from you. You know, in the distance, you don't want to see the individual rocks quite as much. So I just kind of took some water and blended those out. Adding some more little highlights in there. I'm going to sign this one here pretty soon. And we'll call this one good. Yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. It was a fun painting, and you know, it looks decent. I'm happy with it. Take off the tape. I do think, you know, I did this all, you know, relatively quickly, and the blue painter's tape works pretty well. I haven't had it tear the paper too much, even with this paper, which is a little bit more susceptible to tearing, but looks good. Hey, thanks so much for watching, guys. Follow me on Instagram, Brad_Good_News. Click like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Ask me if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.